I'll start recording now. All right. Right, everyone. Welcome to Jamtalk. This is one of the very first of all the session for Jamtalk. It will be more after this in the following days. So Intan, she has been very friendly to me, approached me for many things, and including myself. So I invited her to speak on my show, Jamtalk. Can you hear me? I think somebody is playing something.
Yeah, because he appeared on my main screen.
Oh, okay. Wait, let me.
He
right.
Okay.
So I wanted to
Hopefully
say.
it was not blue.
No. It's not. If it's blue, I will let you know. Don't worry. So yeah, okay. She'll be talking about adversity. So I can tell you very much my English is not very good. So I went into deeper to understand what is adversity, because I'm worried she's talking something about space or moon, So I went deeply to read what is adversity about, because this word in fact has been very less using in many ways. Maybe for someone like me who spend most of the time on the ship, so we use very little about this word adversity. So I'm very thank you to Intan. She has been very humble to accept my offer to be the jam speaker tonight, and she will share with a very strong keyword on adversity. Yep. So let's welcome Intan. She will speak a little bit about herself before we carry on. About the questions of the day.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for choosing to spend your time, your precious evening by tuning in. I actually am very honored to be here, and I've known Captain James for a year now. Of course, from LinkedIn, he always writes inspirational stuff, and a lot of stuff that he write about made me very curious. He writes about ships, his experience as a sailor. So I find it really interesting. On LinkedIn, I get to mingle and learn about people from different career, a different background. Last time when I was working in a bank, I only have friends who are bankers. And then when I was in telco, I only have friends who are telco. And I think it's great. That's what I enjoy about LinkedIn. I get to make friends from various different profession. So like I mentioned, I've been in the bank and telco for a total of 9 years. And after 9 years, my last year was in a public listed company. I was doing okay. I was in an IT company, finance grad in IT company. But when I look back, the most things that I did during my work was dealing with people, and was no more numbers, no more audit, and all that stuff. So a lot of negotiation, presentation, and I found joy in that. I was like, this is kind of cool. And when I was working as well, I had to attend a lot of corporate training, and I often find that it's kind of fun seeing all these organizers organizing team building and all that. I actually approached them. I said, what did you guys study? Is there a degree that specializes in it? And then I found that most of them are either graduates with law degree, engineering, and all that. So from there, I made a plan, even though I couldn't do it immediately. I was very young at that time. So I did
Now
whatever
young.
Oh, thank you for reminding. I was younger at that time. So I did what I could, did some volunteering. So as early as 2001, I started coaching leadership program, and then I took my certification a few years later. But I went into sales first, financial product sales, and before I become a full-time trainer in 2008. So tonight is actually about bits and pieces of my experience going through adversity, because I know a lot of people are talking about that now. And I guess during my time when I went through my adversity, I really had no one to talk to. I had really had to figure it out myself. And today, because of this platform, because of such opportunity, I said I better come out and share just to give some idea of people out there on what happened. If it's not you going through adversity, so that you understand what these people are going through. It could be your friends, it could be your cousin, family members. And then once you understand, you'll be able to support them better. So thank you. That's my question.
Right. Yeah. So Intan, I think they are things that a lot of times, especially this pandemic, that people has been try to reflect a lot of things compare with before the pandemic. Because I've seen it also shows that a lot of people taking things for granted, whereby they don't really okay lah, tak kisah lah, it won't happen on me, Even I mean even now also people those who tak kena COVID lagi, I mean touch wood, they keep on saying okay tak apalah, I mean it happens a lot of people, it won't happen on me, retrench won't happen on me, financial okay won't kena on me as well, even COVID also won't kena on me, I don't wear mask also okay, so there, there has been a lot of times we have this kind of mentality, and it's very good for people like you to speak things that can let a lot of people to reflect, I mean based on your experience as well.
So I find that during the last pandemic, the only reason, I think in my case, personally in my case, the reason that I could bounce back within a week, uh, it was because I've gone through a couple of adversity. So by the time MCO comes in, and I was like, again, okay, let's do this. I need it because I have what we call in NLP, we call it resources, meaning your past experience where you did something successful, you did something right. So the moment you come across it again, another challenge, we immediately go back to our resource and start reflecting, what did I do the last time? However, I do feel bad about people who are experiencing it for the very first time. And I think one of the hardest hit are people who have been employed for so long and don't have intention to work on their own. They plan to retire nicely at whatever that they're doing. And when these people are let go from their job, I think that can be the toughest, really. People in the hotel industry, the hospitality, these people are enjoying their work. I could feel them, when you go to hotels, you see young people, frontliners, they're really enjoying their work. I know they're paid well if they work at good places, yeah. But when pandemic hits, my guess is they will be hit the most. So as an individual, as a community members, there are a couple of things that we can do to help. Number one is to understand. So what happens when people go through adversity is they will go into emotion-wise, they will go into a downward spiral. If after they've got a shock, denial, and then they will start going down, right? So the moment they get into frustration and their emotion starts going down, if they don't get support, it's hard for them to bounce back. Yeah, if it's the first time, no support, no one to talk to, and the worst is when if it's happening at the very first time, when you talk about people who usually perform at work, who do they ask help from? No one.
Yes.
Because hey, I've always been performing, man. Who do I ask help from? No, I can handle this, but they can't, because this is something new, yeah, and they try to handle it themselves. Either that, or they start judging themselves. Oh my God! If I start asking for help, I will look really silly. I was once the guy or the girl who had it all, everything in place, and now I'm asking for help, to pick up the phone and ask for help and talk to a friend and talk about how frustrated you are. It's not easy. So that, as a community member, is something that we need to understand. That's why there's a lot of campaign telling us to to check on your friend. Don't wait for that phone call. We make that phone call. Hey, how are you? Are you okay? And they may come back and say, I'm okay. But ask again another week. Ask again another week. Because you never know. And the moment they get comfortable with you, they feel safe, they feel that you're not going to judge them, that's when they can start sharing.
Yes.
So that's one. So it's tough. Emotion-wise, people are going downward spiral. Now, if they don't have support, if they don't take the action to pivot and bounce back, some of them will just go on the downward spiral. And if you've seen the number of suicide cases in Malaysia alone, from March 18 to November 30th, I think there were 262, and the number comes up, the stats come up to 1.4% kill themselves per day, just in Malaysia alone. I didn't even look at global stats, but just in Malaysia alone. And when I saw that number, I only remember 2 or 3 news. Number one is a Asia pilot who killed himself, and then the guy who ran into the office in Ipoh, and after that he went off and got into accident. That I just remember that 2 cases which made it to the headline, but actually there's a lot more.
I think actually I can recall there's a news, I think it's Malaysian news, the guy that been suspected have COVID positive, not confirmed, suspected. He actually jumped from the hospital building. So I'm not quite sure this one is Malaysian news or Singapore, or is it Asia? I cannot remember, but there's a cases. I mean, he has been too frightened, thinking end of his life, then he just jumped from the hospital itself, the same building. So it's very sad, this kind of thing.
So looking back at my my personal experience, I'm lucky enough that I've got a good childhood with my parents, but I had to leave house at 13. But from 13 to 17, it was not a colorful experience per se. And that's one of the most important time for any youth, because that's a time where we grow from being a child to being a young adult. And that was one of my most difficult time. And I had to go against the norm, and I had to go to a boarding school, which I didn't want to. I want to go back, and there's so many rules and there's so many things I couldn't do. I feel very, very suppressed at that time. But I stayed. I had to stay. I made a deal with my dad that I stayed. So that itself, to me, there was a lot of backstabbing. There was, as a youth, I was judged and not being accepted for being me. So that itself, as a youth, you may think that, how is that an adversity? You have roof and you have food, but emotionally for youth, yes, there was stuff. So if you speak to any teenager today, being not accepted, being judged, being labeled, that's one of the toughest challenge that they face. And today is even worse. They don't have just to face people in school, friends in school, they have to face the whole social media. So if they have social media that everybody can access, they are exposed to judgments and whatnot, nasty comments and whatnot. So I had my first part over there, and I at that time I haven't learned about mindfulness yet, because I want to relate this, how mindfulness and why do we need mindfulness, mindful living, kindness and compassion to help us come out from adversity. So that's my first. I haven't learned about that. And then I went into a 7-year marriage that I wish I had gone out during the first 3 months, but I stayed for 7 years. So again, there was a lot of backstabbing. There was a lot of betrayal there. So put it this way, I had 7 years of marriage, and I had 7 years, 7 betrayals, so 1 year each. So there were cases I ran away from home. I had to do a CSI. I had to chase people on flight, and there's so much of drama. I can't tell you, so much of drama. It's so much of drama, but it's very, very hurtful. Very, very hurtful.
James will shoot a movie on that drama.
I'm not good at writing scripts though. My scripts
You
won't
just
sell.
have to narrate. You just have to narrate. James will write it.
You can actually write a book, you know. In fact, I actually, you know, talking about this, I had some plans publish my own book in the progress now. You can write something, I mean, for your case, maybe 7 years of marriage with seven special
Hey, you're giving title already, huh?
I'm sure there I mean, for your story, there will be people get to benefit from there as well.
Yes, Emily, it takes a lot of guts to leave a toxic relationship, and I had 2 kids at that time. I know what's on the top of my mind. I really that's stopping me, like telling me to stay. I didn't want my kids to be part of the statistics of drugs and troubled teens. So at the end of 7 years, I went out. Was I hurtful? Oh, of course.
We are humans.
Oh, yeah, we're humans. But what I did, and I'm thankful for that, what I did right was immediately change the focus from my hurt. It's like I'm becoming immune already. Yeah. So what? Go away. You know, that time is like quickly go away. Yeah, quickly disappear. Okay. And I was ready shifting my focus on what can I do next.
So that is the bounce back from the adversity. That's the main topic for today.
Yes. And this is one of the toughest things to do when people are at rock bottom, because the focus is on how they feel. Oh, I'm at rock bottom now. I feel such a loser. This is so horrible. So when they get into that state, they won't be able to find a way out. They won't be able to find a way out. So when we are deeply or emotionally intense, you know, our limbic brain that produces emotion do not talk with our rational brain anymore. So rational brain is the one that's making executive decision, problem solving, looking for solution. So when we are so deep and so deeply intense in our emotion, executive function zero. You can only breathe and walk and go to the toilet. That's about it. So that's why it's so important for people to practice mindful living, because this will save them. Because if they practice mindful living, even when they go deep down, they are able to be aware and bounce back. So later I'm going to talk about what are the elements of mindful living, because usually when we talk about mindfulness, people just think about Buddhist monk going for meditation at on the hills. Yeah, but there's more than that. There's more science than that, and there's more things that we can do if people are not Buddhists and not practicing Buddhists. They don't go to temple and meditate. There's actually a lot more than that. So in mindful living, this is something that I discovered in 2005 on mindfulness. So my first meditation was in 2004 when I was in India, and absolutely nothing spiritual about it, but it's just awareness meditation, and I really enjoyed that. And I had a guru at the time, and he really passed on today, but he's not from India, he's local. And I learned the real meaning of meditation or mindful living. And the number one thing that I actually took many years to master it is not that sitting down in quiet, but it's actually removing judgment. So one of the main essence in mindful living is to remove judgment. So when we remove judgment, let's say now I'm adversity, right? Things are going down. But because I have removed judgment, so COVID is COVID, MCO is MCO. So that's about it. There's no bad about it. There's no nothing like. So it becomes neutral. So events become neutral because we no longer judge. COVID is COVID. Okay, no travel. Okay lah, no travel lah. You see, it becomes neutral because we stop judging the event. We stop judging the event as good or bad. So if we are prepared with this, okay, let's say if you're $50,000, $60,000 earning corporate guy, and tomorrow they say, hey, we don't want you anymore, then you will go, okay, it's a let go. Yeah, not bad, not good, and what do I do now? And that's what a lot of people need to learn now. And I when COVID happened, I feel bad that I didn't start teaching this much earlier. It is only when COVID comes in, I say, oh shit, a lot of people need to learn this. A lot of people need to know about this. Yeah. Well, Captain, you also have your fair share of challenging times when you were working as a sailor. You can
Right.
share your bit.
Oh, now become me. Okay, okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, I think the adversity wise, for my case, most of the time we have been very cycle life in such a way that I've been working on a ship, come back duty, on the ship, come back duty. So I don't really feel much during the time. I mean, for my career wise, I don't have much things to bounce in terms of adversity, which I really thank God for that, because the demands was there for my job. So the only things I had was I mean my personal relationship as well. It was during at times where we almost had a relationship where it's not meant to continue anymore. Me with my wife. So I took the time to reflect myself, to ask myself a lot of things, that should I continue this marriage or no. And I've made a decision that to move on. And in fact, we last month, I mean, on a LinkedIn, I wrote last month, we celebrate our 5 years anniversary. It was a very tough decision that time, because I mean, for the nature of my job, she always away. So also kisian her lah. I mean, she's waiting for me alone, right? So there are things of yeah, so something like that. So I'm very happy things been overcome, and I'm very sure once you bounce back something adversity like this, you've been very very fast moving compared with other people. We've been very clear. A lot of times when we bounce back, the vision has been clearer than previously. Like for me now, I really knew what I want for my life, my relationship, my marriage, my job. After being bounced back, a few things with the adversity. I mean, of course, it's very normal for certain people. We are not perfect, we have things going through. But that little things that some people might able to bounce back, some people no. Some people just complain, ayah, ayah, what can we do? But we have things can do. And of course, for those who bounce back like me, I can tell you, it's been straight, direct, very fast, and there's no turning back. We just move forward.
One of my experience after I left, when I left my job, when I was in sales, I had zero salary. So there were times that I get paid, just like today. I don't have salary. I have not had salary for 17 years. I don't know
No
what
salary
salary.
for 17 years.
Yeah, I have no boss, no shareholder give me salary. I am my
Oh.
own shareholder.
Wow.
I had to pay salary adalah at one time. So anyway, so there were times when when you're still new, you're still learning the ropes, and the nature of sales is that there are times that you get paid, there are times that you don't. So I remember the days when I broke. So I had experienced a couple of things. I go to my car, parked. I have gangster waiting. We're from the bank. We're gonna take your alamak. I was like, shit.
Okay.
So I had to do my charm. Hello, tolonglah. Lah. And then I got away. Say you gotta pay a little bit. Okay lah. Since they all gangster, I just pay some, and I got away and I quickly make payment. And there were times. There's one time I really don't know where my next money is coming in, and and my mate wasn't around. I have no job. I really didn't know what to do. And I was at home and I was washing dishes. Okay. So after all the thinking, what should I do? What should I do? How do I get up from this? Da, 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 da. And then I just decided, I remember my guru taught me, just stop. And you know what happened at that time? I just stopped thinking about it. And for the first time in my life, I enjoyed washing dishes because I could feel the cold water and I was enjoying the aroma from the dishwasher. And then it dawned on me, shit, this is what he meant when he said being in the present moment. So the moment
He said, what?
moment-
Sorry, the 2 second became silent, cannot hear properly. What is that? Very
It's
important
about-
words.
it's a part of mindfulness training is about being in the present moment, meaning you're just focused on that moment without worrying about your past hurt, baggage, or your whatever regrets, or worrying about the future, what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's the essence of being in the present moment. So if you Google about mindfulness, you definitely find a lot of things. Yes, the power of now, Emily. I read that in 2004, but I understood it many years after that. It was like, oh, this is what Eckhart Tolle was talking about. So yes, and the other thing about being in the present, you can only be in the present and drop the worry, future worry, and forget about the hurt in the past is when you let go and you let God. That's when you let go and let God. I think we spoke about this, Captain James. We let go and we let God, and that's when the answers come. That's when the answers come, and I still apply that until today. And I actually don't do marketing. I don't do sales for a couple of years already. I just do LinkedIn posting.
Oh, no wonder lah, got so many followers.
No, it's about being focused on the present. Focus on what value you're giving out to people out there. Yatong, you put out your hand, Yatong, like classroom like that.
Yes.
What's up?
But as a respect, Yatong is a very simple person. Yatong, you're mute. Muted.
Yes, now I'm muted. I think adversity in life is what makes us grow. Life cannot be beautiful without adversity. It has to come with it. It's a package. From the day we were born, adversity is always part of our life. Like what Intan say is really about managing it. So it's to live with reality, accept reality, adapt to reality, and face reality. I think this is something that many of us need to understand. And mindfulness would help us to really reconcile with reality, because you can't change reality. It's a matter of how you address this adversity, how you address this reality. COVID-19 principle is also useful in managing adversity, because 10% of what happened in life we can't control, but we can control that 90%. And this is where I think what Intan is going to share about mindfulness would be useful for us to understand ourselves, how we can respond 90% of the time. That's what I would like to share. Yeah. Sorry for the interruption, Intan.
No. I always love your input. For the rest of you, I've been in sessions like this with Yatong, and I found out that he actually spent quite a number of years with Siemens China, right?
Yep. Yeah. Spent 12
Yes.
years with Siemens China.
With China, and for those who don't know, Dr. Azhar here also spent many, I think, 2 decades away, working in Europe and US before coming back to Malaysia, right? Yeah. So a lot of people have a lot of experience here, and I'm sure when you are abroad, you also face a lot of challenges if it does not fall into the criteria of adversity, but at least you had to deal with things that other people don't have to deal with.
Yes. Actually, I did reflect back some of my memories back to the question that I had almost on a breaking point of my marriage life, because there was a time where we will actually have a family planning, wanted to have kids. So it turns out that my wife has been some medical problem diagnosed in a very early stage, that if she doesn't have babies, conceive babies, it's okay, but if she is going to be pregnant and have babies, it might be a very high risk for her life, including the fetus. So the doctor told us that, asked us to consider, whereby she's having a high risk if she go for conceiving a baby. So it was actually quite quite uh, disappointing, because we doesn't really expect this kind of things in our life. I mean, like what Yatong have said, that nothing is perfect. So my wife actually, she told me that, James, why not you look for other women to have kids? You're still young, you can earn a lot of money. You're looking good. You don't have to be with me. I cannot have kids for you in this family. That I told myself a lot of things, in my mind. It's not argue, we don't gado, but I asked myself, just in case if I am the one who have the problem, cannot produce the children instead of her, I'm very sure she will stay with me instead of the other way around. You see, so because of that, I told her that no, I'm gonna stay with her. In fact, I'm gonna support her, because this kind of thing, you have psychology supports emotionally disturbed as well, because you're seeing friends have children, you don't have children, and you have relatives keep telling you why you don't have children, why you don't like to conceive kids, why, this kind of like Chinese and including Asians lah, you don't have kids, people will feel like very strange lah, kenapa tak ada anak or what. But I think it's not necessary. From there, we don't really explain much, because like me, I don't tell, I don't think I need to explain to people, since now we're talking about this. So I thought, wanted to share with you guys a little bit of my private life. Yeah, so I don't think I need to find another woman lah, because I always believe people are also not perfect. So if I find another woman, right, I'm very sure there will be another problem. You see, so this is endless. So the best thing is to accept what we have, and to appreciate what we have, and try to find ways how to make the things what we have beautiful, instead of keep on searching for something that you might think is beautiful, but actually it's not, because at the end of the day, nothing is perfect.
I'm going to open the chat for any questions that you may have. It's either about your own or about the people around you, on either on mindfulness or mindful living, or on addressing adversity. So if you have questions like how do I support, or how do I get out, or how do I get prepared, even if things are okay for you right now, should you get prepared?
I know Abang Ezwan already very well prepared. He's one of the first one to be unmute. But I'm actually looking at his screen, I knew he's thinking something, and phew, he's already unmute.
Hey, thanks, James. Kak Intan, hi.
Yes. Hi.
Okay. So since you opened the floor, I'll take the opportunity first lah. One of the big issue that's currently facing that I see a lot on LinkedIn is the issue of final year students unable to secure internship placement, and then fresh graduates unable to secure jobs. And you see a lot more of it happening, and I don't think it's going to go away soon. And you start to see that they are getting very affected and negatively affected because of the situation, especially when the expectation, they have to pay bills, some have to do their parts, the dues to the family and all. So what would be your view in terms of how they can manage the situation of continuously going during the difficult times where securing a role or internship is going to be continuously difficult?
Okay, one thing I noticed about Malaysian education institution. Yeah, we got to do this because this is how it's being done for the last 60 years. You know, and looking at COVID situation, we all know what companies are going through, and not many of them. You know, every year I train for Petronas internship. Geez, kan, 100 of them. Last year tak ada. Last year I didn't have any. And we all in the industry, we know, but I don't know who would be the one who go and knock the door of all the chancellors and say, hey, can we have exemption? Unless the student can, you know, student body, for them to go and appeal and present their case to ask for exemption. So that's one way. However, it takes a, you know, it takes a big courage. You know, students, the ones that I interviewed, you know, did more interview, Najawa interview, so I would hire them. You know, imagine having to enroll their dean and ask for exemption. So I think we have a lot to, I mean, as people in the industry, we can suggest, but they have to start seeing things differently. So internship, they definitely, one way is to ask for exemption, especially if they have been writing for 50, 100 companies, considering the situation. Number two, for the fresh grads, they really have to be ready for gig economy, gig freelancers, yeah, because moving forward, that's how a lot of business will eventually evolve to. You know, we're talking about companies. You know, don't talk about, you know, companies that we talk here. You know about Fiverr, right? Fiverr, the platform where, you know, actually Fiverr, they have a lot of India's IT tech people. India has a lot of tech people, right? They can build websites and whatever not. So if you go to that platform, all of them are selling. I can do this, I can do this, I can do that. And I've heard stories where right from wherever their village in India, they're doing work for Walmart US, big brands. Yeah, it's all about selling. But for students to start, you know, going into gig economy, they really need some entrepreneurship skills, at least to be a solopreneur. Because as a gig, you know, in gig economy, freelancers they gotta see themselves as solopreneur. They gotta be able to sell. They gotta be able to know how to give value to clients, and they also got to know how to create customer experience with clients. They really, to the point, they really know how to WhatsApp the customer. You know, if you're doing what, let's say you're doing some small content poster for Tabur Haji, let's say, or for Bank Rakyat, right? You cannot send message like how you write to your friends. So I think the students really got to be ready for that. And that's, I don't think a lot of universities are prepared for that. I've even seen a comment by a university professor. He wrote like this: you know, we send our kids to university not for them to be a Grab rider. Have you seen that comment?
No, actually, where is it? On LinkedIn or somewhere?
Somewhere in the news. So what the professor did not understand is that because most of them become Grab rider because they couldn't get a job at that time. Not that they wanted to be a Grab driver until they retire, you know, and these are graduates with degree. But what professors do not see is that when they either drive car, e-hailing or Grab rider, they are actually building their intra or entrepreneurship skills by performing work and get paid based on results. And that's the difference between you know, working for a company now. The big companies, the MNCs, yes, they know how to measure results and whatnot. But if you work for local company that's not very established on how they assess people's performance much. You come in, you perform, you suck, never mind. End of the day, the company will pay you salary. But when they go into all this e-hailing, they have a different relationship to performance, work performance. And I get to work in the era of, you know, when I was in the bank, I have runners, office boy, or peon, they call it at that time. Okay, is the toughest to deal with because they like to what we call mengula. Mengula means they, you know, they take their own sweet time. I don't care if my documents delivered or not, and some more we officer have to talk to them nicely because if I use the wrong tone of voice, they get offended. Are you talking to me because I'm like that because I'm stupid? Really difficult. But my experience with this Lala Move, Food Panda, oh, superb. Because they want to be rated 5-star. Then they get called again. And then on my Lala Move app, I can call back those that I have engaged before. I can say, I want back this guy. So they know that. And Grab and Lala Move, Food Panda, all train them on that. These are the things to me is very, very valuable. And guess what? When they're done with, you know, one day they get to work, they already build that in them. I work and I get paid based on my results. Guess what? They'll be result oriented staff. I would take them. I would take anybody who has, okay, you've been a Grab driver group. How much did you get paid? How long did you work? That would be my part of my assessment. So I know you can stretch this guy. I know he will do whatever it takes to get a 5-star rating.
Fantastic.
So
Thanks.
So
I think that's very important. Yeah.
Yeah.
That feedback is very important because I think there's still a lot of this wait and see and doing the same old thing like over and over again. That's not going to work, especially in the current environment.
Wait and see is definitely not gonna help. Don't talk about student lah. I mean, I'm in the industry where within my industry, people who have been in the industry for many years still have, let's wait and see. Still have that. They're everywhere. Yeah. But if we choose that, it's tough. It's tough to get up from adversity. So I'm looking at questions.
I think someone did ask about the Emily. She asked about how about the advice to give to people who have this self-sabotage that affects their ability to overcome adversity.
Being sabotaged, yeah? Okay.
Self-sabotage, yeah.
Self-sabotage or sabotage by other people?
Sounds like self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Like,
Sendiri kabum sendiri.
yeah.
Okay. I just had coaching with one of my coaches from New York this morning. Someone who works for a big agency for 10 years, and she just started on her own. Yeah, and then when we had the conversation, she shared on how she did a lot of work for big brands. So I went through her LinkedIn. She write content for Nestle, you know, all the major brands. And then now that she's on her own, there's a struggle. Then we had conversation. I said, how was it like the last time, you know? And then we identified when she was working, she had to go through and get a lot of approval. Vet through by 4 lawyers, sent to the boss, okay or not. And there's a lot of seeking approval. Now that she's on her own, so we end up the conversation by, look, now that you're on your own, whatever that you do, that's perfection. That's perfect and ready to go. And you will attract the perfect client for you. Self-sabotage is very, very common, and especially for us in Asia, because we grow up in a culture, I don't know about you, but in my Malay culture, you know, babies are not allowed to be called cute. Can you believe it? Yes.
I think Chinese got like say if the kids you call cute, right, later grow up not cute already, so cannot say cute. Got like that.
Yes, Malay also got. So we end up calling the baby smelly, ugly. Really,
Yeah,
literally, yeah.
Hmm.
So you imagine the baby growing up. So
Cannot
we
puji
have
one.
cannot puji.
Yeah, once puji terbalik.
Yes. So our environment, our culture, the conversation we hear from our own parents really will shape, especially the first 7 years. First 7 years. The first 7 years, if the parents like to curse, you get your kids cursing. If the parents like to complain, that will become the blueprint of the kids.
Mhm.
Self-sabotage can also come from parents who are very strict and have, in Asia, it's all about you bring home a report card, 8 A's, the first thing your father will ask, what happened to the other 2B? Right?
Yes, yes.
Instead of heading in the back, hey, great job, 8 A's. First question would be, why 2B?
Oh,
And
my father a bit lower expectation lah. My father say, oh, got pass ah, okay lah, pass can lah, no problem.
and I hear from my friends, my boss last time sent to Chinese school, came back with all A. Why not A plus? Oh,
Yeah.
And that has shaped us how we think. We self-sabotage. We're not A plus. We're not this. I'm not saying we should lower our standard. One thing I like about that, our parents always set high benchmark, but we also need that balance in acknowledgement on things that we have done right. So if we don't have, when our parents don't know any better. My parents personally, they are two opposites. My mom never say anything positive, but my dad is the opposite, so balanced and neutral balik. But if we don't have that, we can always start today. So self-sabotage is our own voice that's trying to, trying to conform you, And especially in Asian society, we are so programmed with that. You cannot self-acknowledge. You cannot say you're good. And with Muslims, there's this fear of being boastful. Now, I always tell the Muslim, when we praise ourselves, don't you think that we are praising our Creator? Okay.
Okay.
If you praise yourself, hey, I'm smart. Oh, I have a fantastic creator who created me like this way. So if we don't link it, of course, it becomes ego. So people are afraid of being egoistic or narcissistic. But if we relate it that way, we are God's creation. Too bad lah, God created us with this gift.
Yes.
So it's no longer about us. We are all creation.
All right. Just 2 second shout out to Lee and Masita and Hazif. Yeah. Can you please update this Google Sheet that I attached on the chat box for the benefit of everyone so they can
I'm missing the
connect.
chat.
And it looks like Arvin was raising his hand. Luckily, it's a virtual one. If not, has been very tiring, very long time. He has been at a corner on my screen there. Wanted to ask something, I think.
Yes, I have one question from Dr. Azhar as well. I'll come back to that shortly. Arvin.
Okay. Assalamualaikum. Greetings, everyone. Everyone can hear this?
Yes. Can hear. Can see
So-
your smile as well.
Okay, so the reason I muted earlier because my microphone is very sensitive. Therefore, I don't want to disturb. Right? So actually, I'm not to give any questions, but to support about Ezwan's question just now. Okay, so everyone, for your kind information, and James actually said a few times, I'm actually a diploma student in electrical and electronics engineering, whereby I'm currently seeking an internship placement for March 2021, which is early next month lah. Okay, so what happened was, currently until today, I'm still in seeking of my internship placement. Yes, I have rejections. I do. There are applications that aren't being reviewed yet. I've been trying to contact some of the recruiters to ask about my status and whatnot. The typical type lah of how we look for job placements. But based on your question, right? So as a student like myself, we have to understand that in our, let's say in our institute, in my institute, we have 4 major courses. Mine is the electrical engineer. Then we have mechanical, we have tourism and hotel, and last but not least, graphic design lah. So what happened is, in these 4 lines, probably out of 4, maybe 3 are the ones that the industry demands for internship now. For mine, electrical engineering, not only has been a very tough time because, as you know, jobs are not coming in, tenders are not there, people not able to afford to even hire interns, or they are not able to take in interns on an unpaid allowance because they don't have jobs. They cannot offer anything. So therefore, they eventually went on this route. So back to what Intan said about you have to go via student bodies to apply for exemption. So let me put this in this perspective from my institute. Okay, so in my institute, our student body, from the head to the MTs, to the Majlis Tinggis and whatnot, are from different industries. And they are the people who got placement. And actually, it's a saddening thing because others are being neglected. And what's making it worse is that
Relax. No worry. Plan.
so, academic advisors, they are currently putting their students to get internship, even though they know about our current industry. So in my case, I put my deadline around, let's say, today until the 25th of February. After that, I think students personally have to go and be aggressive in the terms of they have to meet the key leaders or the administrators of the institute and really demand for either leeway in the terms of, let's say, okay, you are going for electrical engineering intern. Why not you go for a different intern, maybe something related to engineering, but not in your course? Because it's not just about you learning about your course. You're learning about how the world works, how the career works, industry and so whatnot. You have to understand that one day you might not even in your own line of industry. You might in somewhere else. For example, myself, I wanted to be in the technical industry, but up to a certain period of time, I wanted to be in corporate because somehow I felt that I'm good in dealing with people, leading a team and whatnot. So, taking internship doesn't mean you have to go via your course. You can go to others. Currently, in our institute, there's no leeway into applying this. Okay, so asking for that kind of exemption, for that leeway, taking other types of internships for our currently this desperate moments, or taking exemption in terms of we can apply for a longer period to get ourselves in an internship that it suits for us. Because currently for my case, I have to get my internship placed by, if I'm not mistaken, 28 February. So until then, my advisor will be nagging around, saying to me, I need to get my placement, but the situation is it's not currently in favor of us. Second, actually, if everyone notice around, there are uh, there are currently job descriptions or job openings that wanted fresh graduates. Let's say, for example, because they wanted entry level people to be hired to that particular job. So going instead of going in that direction, why not students try to negotiate with that sorts of vacancies and companies to actually come up with a plan, a middle point lah. So yeah, because we have to be creative at this time. We cannot just expect for, let's say, for example, okay, a type internship engineering, and then this kind of companies, and then that's not going to work. We have to really be creative. In desperate times needs desperate measures. So that's how. And I don't actually, because not every student will understand our dire needs. We cannot wait for student bodies to bring up to the chain, because they also are entitled to bureaucracy, SOPs and whatnot. You being aggressive means you will go to the extra measures to be forward lah, in that sense.
I would say go for it and document all your action, number of all those replies from those companies who you have written to, bring that, and then when you go for your next interview for your real job, this will be your star story. The star method: situation, task, action, result. This will be your story. Yeah, your success story to sell during job interview.
Hopefully me too lah.
So I wish you all the best. Okay, I have a very valid question here. How do you encourage people to seek help? People have this perception. I have exactly that perception. Even after I became single mother, and I totally dislike asking help because I think people will take advantage of me. That's my case. Being female, because that's how the society sees things. But at workplace, I can totally understand, especially if you have performers. Uh, Performers are the most difficult to ask for help when it comes to work. So one of the things that I found to help is when we do some knowledge sharing on biographies of successful people. So if you read about a lot of successful people, they mesti ada point of time where they go through adversity and ask for help. Adversity, ask for help. Yeah. So these are sometimes people need, in NLP it's called modeling. People will see, that's a role model. Sometimes people just see that, let's say you see Richard Branson, you just see the surface. But if you read biography, then you will see, oh my God, he had to go through a lot of stuff. And for successful people, they need role models like that. Okay, this is what would Richard Branson do? What would Jack Ma do? What would so and so do? And then they will feel, okay, even Jack Ma asked for help, even Richard Branson asked for help. So it's okay if I ask for help. So if you have, my guess is you're probably talking about your team members. I know you have a big team that you're managing, right? And they are smart. They are all smart people. I deal with them.
Actually, also for the company. So throughout this MCO, we offer services for people to talk if they're stressed about anything, and it's all anonymous, so we don't even know who, if you want to call. And we just found out that last year we have an employee about 150, and only 10 people make use of that, and that really shows that people are so worried about perception, and they don't really want to ask for help, even when it's almost handed to them already. It's free and it's anonymous, and people still cannot bring themselves to do that when we know a lot of people were stressed last year.
Yeah, I can imagine. I had one student, management trainee of a bank. So when we done with our training, we had one-to-one with her, and then she shared with me she had a history of being suicidal. Her mother already took her for whatever, and then a year later, I got a call from her. I said, can I see you for dinner?" She was already attached at the bank at that time, and she said it's relapse. She said relapse. I tried to kill myself the other night, and my mom took me to the psychiatrist. Question is, should I tell my employer? Will this affect my promotion? So these are the common conversations that employees have. Will this affect my promotion? Will this affect my bonus? Will I be out of job? So to the point of, should I tell my employer that I have psychiatrist appointment every Monday? So in the end, I asked around because I dare not give that advice because I don't have HR background. So based on what the HR people advised me is to check the letter of and the employee handbook to get them to feel safe. So recently I checked with her, promoted, and she's brilliant. She's ex Big Four, and then at that time already with the bank. She was promoted, and I said, for your age, you're pretty young to be promoted, and she's brilliant. But she went to psychiatrist and did her treatment. So I think that fear. And the other day I was advising oil and gas company as well, HR, because the HR were already open. We did a 1 hour session, and I do sort of like a screening to see which zone are you, and if you're this zone, if your mental and emotional state is like this, go and get help. So the HR made an announcement, come and talk to me. So I wrote to the HR, before you want them to talk to you, that their bonus not affected, performance not affected, because these are their conversation. So even it's anonymous, right? So they do have that fear as well. So that could be an additional factor, or this is provided by the company. Yeah.
It's interesting. We live in a very societal environment where, this societal is supposed to be a support structure that we can go back to our own community within our society, because we don't belong to an individualistic culture, very much community-based culture. Yet it is because of this community culture that is holding back people to step forward and ask for help. So it cuts both ways. You're supposed to have this support structure because the community values are held high in the community, yet at the same time is withholding you to step forward, because to be seen, then you will be violating certain elements, unspoken rules to step forward, ask for help, especially when it deals with problem that are classified as mental illness. So it's more like a dilemma for an individual to step forward, and then I would be stereotyped as having mental illness. So it is really a tussle internally. Should I step forward or should I not step forward? Because what are the repercussions? Because the society is still conservative to accept that this is a norm of living in today's VUCA world. So we have to have this mentality also within the community that stepping forward to ask for help is encouraged, should be encouraged, and we should not pass judgment on people stepping forward to help. We should encourage. So the narrative of seeking help has to change in our society. I think this is also one of the parameters that has to be set up in order that people feel more willing, more freely to step forward and seek help. And that's my input. Yep.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we Asians, we like to gotong royong, right? We like to help each other, but we also have this conformity. If you're different, you'll be in trouble. How come everybody else is like this and you're like that? Including, hey, everyone else is okay. How come you're in trouble and you need help? And that's one. And then we also have power gap. So if you are in a position of power, all the more the pressure that you cannot break down. You're the man of the house, you're older, you're this profession, you're so smart, you're this, you're that. All the more the bigger expectation of, of the society that, hey, you shouldn't be having this problem. Haven't you lived long enough? I thought you are this. I thought you're a lawyer. I thought you're an accountant. You should know. Ah. Well, we
Okay,
all know that's not the reality.
I,
There's a lot
I
of
had
expectation.
this experience when I was in the airport joining the ship together with the crew. So we are strangers in the airport immigration. So they didn't know rank, who is this and that. So I just pretend myself not to let people know what is my rank. So many of them thought I'm doing internship by the look of me being quite young to hold such a rank title on the ship. So every time when they knew who I am on the ship that I command, so everyone you somehow when you reach that certain position you don't have friends, people see you, they might call you, okay, Captain, hello, then shoo, missing. When you turn around, you can't see anyone else in the shadow. So I don't really, try not to have that kind of environment as well. I mean, like what Intan said. So uh, try to break the ice lah. I'm not very good at that. I don't been accredited with any certificate for that, but I try my best based on my experience because it's multicultural, national, and I'm the only Malaysian there. So whatever I do, I wrote a post on LinkedIn. Whatever I do, it's always being a Malaysian, not a Chinese or not. I'm from China or something. No, I'm whatever that I'm doing. People will think, oh, so Malaysian do like this. Oh, so Malaysian dress like this. So Malaysian talk like this. So Malaysian eat like this. Because I'm the only Malaysian there. Maybe in their whole life, they all they seen is me as a represent Malaysia. So whatever I do, including my job, I have to be telling myself, okay, what I talk, it has to be talking where people will be thinking, you see, inilah orang Malaysia cakap macam ni, memang kurang ajar, what, right? So yeah, there is a lot of things to consider, when it comes to this kind of society.
Sorry, I just want to add a bit on what have been mentioned. Azhar, just sharing a bit of my experience as well. I think very important. Number one is one of the biggest challenge in a office environment is trust. Very important trust, and sometimes when we want people to actually be open about asking for help, how do the leaders in the organization perceive that? Especially if they continue to encourage and does not penalize, that's very important. Tapi there are cases where they actually tell the employees that, don't worry, it's a safe place, blah, 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 but they talk differently when they are not with the employee. They joke about it. And sometimes HR are guilty of this. They talk about people's problem among themselves, and sometimes without realizing, they joke about it as a performance measure. Oh, that person did this, the person did that, without the intention to actually use it against them. So that's been sort of a corporate culture that will have barriers to actually people trusting the system. And because of that, they will have more difficulty in terms of trusting internal. And in such situation, for you to build the trust, you may need help from a real external. So very important to build that trust. External help is definitely critical. And then consistency in terms of promoting the right behavior will slowly be able to gain the trust. Because without the trust, then it's going to be very challenging in terms of to get people to open up, to get people to actually share. And sometimes we fall into the trap of, as management, you are supposed to have the solution, where not realizing actually we may be the problem, yeah. We're not the solution. So the employee may be in a problem, need some help, and the help is actually us. Sorry, not the help. The problem is actually us, but we don't realize that. So there are things that still, like what Xiao Chen also mentioned, the corporate health in terms of in Malaysia is still a lot of room for improvement, I would say.
Haifwa has a question. How to overcome the situation when people expect too much from us when we are at the same time going through adversity? You know, when it comes to handling people's expectation and handling our own expectation, you got to choose. And there are times that you need to set your boundaries and build your barriers. So when I choose to work on my own, my family, none of them work on their own. So within the first 6 months, I was asked to find a job.
So
and I actually set my barriers with my own family members.
I have a question for you, Intan.
Yes.
How does one person overcome the part of appraisal? You know, appraisal report from the HR that actually it might help someone to get promoted. At the same time, it might be a very strong killer to end someone's career. So how does people in the corporate world can break through this, whereby a lot of times the appraisal is not really a genuine one, but somehow very politicized. But people, how do they really break through this part in terms of to survive in the corporate world?
I think if you read about leadership today, what is very much needed, even before COVID, leadership gurus are already talking about leadership with empathy. And that's the way to move forward, because we're dealing with humans. And today, in today's society, the people that you lead, the millennials, they don't buy bullshit. Everything is transparent today. If the company says, stay with us, we are good company, the next day they know, hey, you're doing shit to the environment and that's not aligned with my value. I'm out of here. You know, I'm not earning money while you are destroying the environment, and they will walk out. So today, in today's leadership, we need to have empathy. We really need to know who we are leading, and leaders need to look beyond just numbers. They need to look. There are people behind the numbers. So if you are in that, you're not at the top, you are in that. If you have the luxury, if you're confident, find a company that's aligned with your values, that has leaders who lead with empathy and compassion, they take care of the people, then that's the place to be. But if it's not that time yet, especially now, just hang on to it. Just hang on to it.
Just like me.
Hang on to it. I
Let
would
me
tell
share-
people now to, yeah.
Let me share what I did when I was head of department. I did self-assessment for my team members. I have to do two performance appraisal. One was for salary increment, another one was for mid-year bonus payment.
Is it in China?
So, no. This was way back when after I quit the army and I got my first job.
In Malaysia?
So, yeah, in Malaysia. So I did the first one for the increment. So I rated them and I kept it. And when the second assessment has to be done, I returned the same assessment to them. I say, you rank yourself now. You can give whatever rating you want to give to yourself, but you have to justify to me. If you put yourself higher than what I rank you, I'm happy, but show me evidence. If you put yourself lower than me, I want to know why. If you put the same ranking as I am, then I also want to know why you are static. You know what my team member tell me? why you make life so difficult for me? Why you make life so difficult for us?
Tulis saja lah.
This virtually tell us what? A lot of us, we don't assess our own performance. We leave everything to our bosses and hoping that our bosses would do kind acts, kind deeds for our performance. So we have to manage our own performance. We have to manage our own career. And when I'm in China, when I work, every year, I do my own self-appraisal and I pass it to my boss. This is how I rank myself, and this is all my evidence. If you disagree with me, you have to come and we can have a dialogue, we can always discuss. So there is always a starting point where my boss would have to sit down and discuss with me. Then I'm not at the mercy of my boss. And this is what I did. Yeah, just to share how I manage my own career, how I manage my own performance. Yep.
It's taking ownership, and that's under leadership pillars that goes under self-leadership. And that's the baseline to start with for anybody. If you're a student today, that's your baseline. Taking charge of your own performance, your own self, your own mental and emotional state,
So,
your performance.
Just to ask regarding appraisal, right? I've been working with Petronas ship before. I mean, Malaysian company, obviously, and work with a Hong Kong company now. So the appraisal a little bit different. For Malaysian company, they are very formal, whereby very open. You can see the person who appraise you, and as well as you rate yourself. There are 2 columns there for the Petronas, for the crew officer on the ship. But when I work in Hong Kong now, this company is very secretive, extremely confidential. So you wouldn't know if your boss is writing something good to you. So we always tend to give hadiah, you know. Like we all people, you must give something lah, give red wine ke apa kan, hamper. If you don't give something, your chair will not be very comfortable for a very in a very short time. You'll be flying out from the ship, you know. So I wanted to know, in Malaysia as well as in China, I mean the corporate world, do you confidential appraise this one, or is it open for public?
It's open to public, at least for my company. Yes, open to public. So everything is online, and yes, we can see what the boss write.
Okay.
For my case, we have a management team which moderate and modulate all the performance appraisal. So your boss has to justify your performance in front of his peers, that he warrants this, and this is why I'm giving him this rating, this grading. So it's moderated. Yeah. So, and of course, when you work in a team, the peers of my boss also would know me, so they would also can moderate and modulate if a rating given is either too low or too high. So in that sense, it is not a one man's word and how it is being done. So it kills out the favoritism in a way, or lopsided assessment in a way. Yeah, this is how it's been done in China. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Just to add to that, I think what's very important that sometimes people forget, to get good performance appraisal, you need to start with a clear target. What's your deliverable needs to be very clear from the start for that year. So some organizations are designed very well, but some organizations actually manage this very poorly. So it's very important, not just for the supervisor, but also for the staff or subordinate, that from the start of the year, you must be very clear of what's expected of you for you to deliver for the year. And once that is made clear, you need to chase your supervisor. Your supervisor needs to chase your staff to make sure that this is done very early. And once that is done, it needs to be regularly assessed and visited. You know, some organizations have a structure to have it every 6 months, but personally, to me, it's a conversation you need to have regularly. In some environment, you may want to calibrate every month or every 2 months or every quarter as a minimum. so that you know if you're on track, if objective and priorities have changed. Those are all measured. And it's also very good that that is done, because when a performance appraisal happens at the end of the year, sometimes your achievement at the beginning part of the year, if it's not discussed, it's forgotten. So
Yes.
if you achieve something very well at the beginning part of the year and you have that discussion with your supervisor early enough, he or she may then have a better appreciation of what you have done. So that will help. And when you have that year-end discussion during appraisal, where he or she will say, "Oh yeah, I remember our discussion earlier part of the year, where you actually did this, which was very good." And like the organization I've been with, I've been quite blessed. I've seen both. So there were cases where it's very open and transparent, where everyone knows in terms of structure and everything. And they made it very clear. Performance outcome is based on two things: your performance against what's expected of you as an individual, and your performance against your peers. So you can be delivering superb result against your target, but your peers may be much better off than you because they had more challenging. So that structure helps in terms of performance appraisal. So to me, very important, back to this whole topic, it's very important that it starts on the right track from the target setting from the start of the year.
I remember in MIC they have this like a 4 pillar. Like Petronas, they have this pillar of this vision, mission, all this thing. Then from the pillar on top, the bumbung there, we need to memorize this. When we are doing internship, cadets on the ship, keep on memorize this. What is Petronas mission? What is that? I'm thinking, why lah? I'm on the ship. Don't lah. I mean, torture me already. Away from the family, still want to memorize all these companies sticking, around the ship. So yeah, that was a very good reminder. How far we have gone. There's one more question by Haifa. I think she's still here. Yep. She mentioned that how to overcome situation when people expect too much from us when we are at the same
answered that.
time going through
Already
adversity.
answered.
Already answered. Yeah.
I said
Okay.
that's the one that I found. I've answered what the
Thank you.
answer was. Did I miss any? Did we miss any question?
Not really. I think it's almost
Yeah.
finished. So yeah, and as per my question to you, Intan, I mean, as per Jamtalk been earlier has been agreed. I wanted to ask one last question before finishing, is that if you have one superpower, what would be that superpower and why?
Oh, superpower.
Why you look at the bumbung lah? Apa
Yeah,
lekat sana ada bumbung?
thinking. Superpower.
Yes,
is
just one superpower. What
one
and
only,
why? What
Okay.
and why? Yeah.
Satu je pula tu.
I thought you got prepared this one because I sent you previously.
Okay, superpower, travel.
Flying.
To be-
Fly
to
or
be-
what? Fly.
No need. Just close my eyes and I'm
Go
in
on,
Scotland.
teleport
Close
lah,
my
teleport.
eyes and I'm in teleport. Close my eyes and I'm in Russia. It's 39 degrees in Tamanton. I close my eyes and I'm in snow somewhere.
Very danger.
Alps.
Later you close your eyes, teleport to Arvin, behind Arvin. Later come out from the screen.
Apa behind Arvin? Arvin in Klang. I want to go to the Alps. Yes.
Very nice. And if you have anything wanted to share with the audience, the perhaps some business URL, or what is the services that you like to introduce, what you're doing to the people here?
Okay. I do conduct virtual trainings, and for the past 2 years, my focus has been on emotional intelligence, stress management, communication. I started with public speaking training back in 2008, and I still do that today. I really enjoy that. And because of COVID and all that, I put a little bit more stress on managing stress and productivity, and as well as emotional intelligence, because I know a lot of people are going through tough times. But they are all related. When I teach presentation, for example, public speaking, I have NLP, I have mindfulness, and I have EQ all in one. And if you know, if you have, know anyone or any company who are in need of such service, including virtual presentation. That's what a lot of companies are in need right now. Captain, shall we do a breakout room style?
Yeah, can. How? How to do?
Networking.
Alamak, I also don't know how.
Leave it to me.
Okay,
So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put you in the breakout room with another person. It's just for you to say hello. It's like speed dating. Say hello, and also worthwhile to share what are your takeaways from tonight, and what do you want to do different, with regards to what we're talking about. Be it you want to reach out to your friends, you want to listen more to friends going through adversity, or making preparation for yourself, because we don't know when adversity will hit who. Okay, so give me a second. Breakout rooms. How many of you? 2, 4, 15. So there'll be 7 breakout rooms. And when you see something pop up, you just click join. Click join and you'll be with somebody I just assigned random, okay?
How I press? Tak payah tekan for me.
Huh?
Oh, just okay. Alamak, malu lah.
You host ma.
Hey, you must teach me how, Tomorrow I still got one for Wendy.
I show you.
So how now? I macam mana pergi juga to the breakout room? Just tekan join lah. Is it?
Yeah. I tekan join any of the room. You can join any of the room.
Hey, I went into the room and I'm there by myself.
Yeah, that's why lah.
Who are you with?
Alone. She's alone.
Me by myself. I'm not sure if you have too many breakout rooms lah, Intan.
Oh yeah lah, got 7. Okay, Hazia, you're supposed to join room 2. Never mind lah, you're with us lah. Are you with James?
So
I've been in room 7.
Yeah,
room 2 only one, Emily only. She's there alone.
Yeah. Okay, let's put hang on. Because Hazia is not responding. Okay, I move you to Emily's.
Oh, me.
Emily is room 2. No. Xiao Chen.
Oh, Xiao Chen. Okay.
Make new friends.
So who is here? Hazia, is she's here? Hello, Hazia.
She's probably not. That's why.
Strange. I asked to unmute, but yeah. Start video. So yeah.
After everybody leave, I show you how to do it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kak Intan, for many things. A bit color also lah, me. Doing all these things. Alamak.
No lah.
First time. But it's right. I mean, you really tells correctly about the participants. Half only. It's so true lah.
Yeah, it's like that. That's a trend.
Okay.
So that's why you need to
get. So where are those people gone? They don't come or what? I mean, why? Why they just click okay? Just support lah.
It's just like that.
Bagi muka like that.
Or but sometimes
usually
they don't check.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes they don't check. They me first. Then suddenly something came out. So that in Malaysia is like that. If you do this one online tau. Kalau class let's say you organize a tour, you pay the hotel, you call 100, maybe 25 like that. Because free mah. So it's like that.
You got do free one. I mean for this kind of thing. Cakap 100 then come 25 free like that. Got
sebab datang 25 lah aku tak buat. Virtual I do because virtual mah, so I don't even leave the house.
Betul. So talking about personal thing, are you living alone now with your kids or macam mana?
Yeah, just me and my kids.
How old are they?
So, 21 and 25. 20 and 20. No, yeah, 21 and 20.
Oh, can become mother-in-law already,
Exactly.
Alamak. 25 is lelaki perempuan?
2 girls.
Oh, very fast lah. I tell you, I'm 33. If I'm not married, I find a wife 35. You are already my mother-in-law. Walao eh. Yeah lah.
Okay.
Wow. Wait, let me see how
Yeah,
this
let me see. You go and join anyone.
Okay. How to go? You
You click join.
click join Wait, let me see who masuk. Can join keluar like that, can
Can.
Okay,
Join
I
it.
join first one first. I go and
Volunteer je macam sendiri nak buat intern kan. Oh, hi James.
Hey, hello,
Hi.
hi. Hey, sorry tadi saya pun kalut lah. I mean first time buat show ni kan. So I hope you all dapat lah. I mean all the informasi this time and sama-sama connect kat LinkedIn. I'm not sure I ada connect with you guys sebab ramai sangat kawan. But I think of course after event ini we will get more know each other lah kan. So anything you can drop me message on LinkedIn. I try to apa? Alamak, dah habis ni. Dah close.
55 seconds. 1 minit lagi.
So you, so you're from where? I mean, which part of Malaysia? I'm from Penang.
Selangor.
Selangor. What about you? Mana dia? Masita, where you from?
Sama KL juga.
Wah, semua orang capital lah. Okay. Alamak, kita ni sekarang MCO extended
Ya.
So it's good lah. I mean, a lot of times we can learn a lot of things online. I mean, compare masa dulu tak ada online kan. More gila lah for these people. Okay, so we back to main hall kan, I think. So I tekan leave breakout room. Alright, see you there.
Okay, bye.
And then once it's time's up, they will come back. Welcome back.
Hello.
Dah habis cakap lagi.
Hi, well, I can see Stella now.
I knew it. I hope that has been valuable.
Sure, Abhi not yet finished talking. I'm very sure. Maybe he's talking,
not finished.
finish.
Do get in touch with everyone on LinkedIn. You can continue your chat, your sharing, your networking. This is how we have teh tarik during MCO. We make full use of Zoom. So over to you, Captain James. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me over.
No problem. Well, it sounds like you're gonna leave the room very soon. You rushing somewhere? Or you still gonna be here? No. Okay. So
no date tonight. So here.
Thank you very much for attending the Jamtalk. So we already finished. I'm gonna stop the recording now.